I grew up in Nyeri.
Yes.
And we were taught English in Kikuyu. And that way we were able to learn. So I'll sing that song that we were taught.
All right. Go right ahead.
Wow. Ũngĩenda gũthoma primary school wambĩrĩrie natharĩ nĩguo ũhĩge. Teacher nĩ mwarimũ, chair nĩ gĩtĩ, window nĩ dirisha, arm nĩ guoko. Mwarimũ witũ teacher nĩwe kaũru bad. Nĩ kwĩra ciana children ithiĩ mũgũnda garden itarĩ na rũtha permission. Nĩ ngũthiĩ go na ndigũcoka back.
Good. Wewe hujasema tisha. Hey good people, and welcome to your favorite show, Chronicles La Familia. Hey good people, and welcome to your favorite show, Chronicles La Familia, where we bring you positive conversations around family, and we also have a song segment. My name is Maggie B. Kangai. We want to thank you for your continued support by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and liking our content. You're helping us take these conversations around the world. And today on set we have one Joyce Wakarima, mother to Jensen, who is on the autism spectrum, and she's going to explain to us autism from her lenses. It's so good to have you on the show, because I believe you come along like we have spoken before. Now we started the interview. I already feel that you have a lot of information on autism and probably accompanying disorders that will really help our audience. And it is so great to have such a resourceful person as you. We look forward to just this ride in the show to just learn and hear from you. So karibu sana. Please begin by introducing yourself to our audience so that they get to know you.
Okay, thank you so much, Maggie. My name is Joyce Wakarima, a mother to an amazing boy who is on the autism spectrum, now 11 years. It has been a journey, and I'm happy to be on this show,
Yes.
just to educate people and to encourage a parent who has a special needs child and they don't know what to do. Thank you so much.
All right. Please define for us autism the way you understand it.
Autism is a neurological condition.
Yes.
It's something that even as at now, people do not understand it. Were it not that I have a child on the autism spectrum, maybe I would still be on the majority of people who do not understand.
Yeah.
It's a neurological condition. It affects areas,
Yes.
different areas, and the main area is communication.
Yes.
Most children on the autism spectrum, they have issues with communication, whether verbal or non-verbal.
Yes.
The other area is social interaction.
Yeah.
You find a child, they just want to play alone. They don't want company of other children.
Yeah.
The other area is behavior. You find them, they either have repetitive behaviors or they have self-harming behaviors. The other area, it's sensory issues.
Okay.
We normally call it sensory integration. Like they have issues with certain fabric,
Yes.
certain lights,
Yes.
certain noise. Like maybe you're just cutting nails or they're just shaving their hair.
Yeah.
They have so much, they're feeling like you're bombarding their head.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of sensory issues.
Yes.
But what you normally say is when you meet a child on the autism spectrum,
Yeah.
you have just met one.
Okay.
Because
so
it
you
is
cannot
a
use
spectrum.
what you have experienced with this child to judge or to know the other child.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Like you said, it's a spectrum.
It is a very broad spectrum.
Yeah.
And that is why you say when you meet one person on autism spectrum, you have just met one. You cannot replicate or just judge another child by what you have seen.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So you have an autistic child.
Yes.
Like you began by saying 11-year-old Jensen. Please tell us your journey. How was your pregnancy? How did you get to learn that your child is autistic? Yeah.
It has been a very tough journey getting to this point that I can comfortably sit back and talk about it.
Yeah.
My pregnancy was okay, a very normal pregnancy, normal delivery, but during delivery something happened.
Yes.
As I was pushing, somehow maybe my energy got depleted, and the person who was assisting me called 2 other guys to help push the baby, but my baby came out and he cried. And
Okay.
of course, as any other parent, I was overjoyed, as in I have a baby boy, finally. And it was because he cried and all was well. It was a very normal delivery. Actually, I had worked up to around 2 and I went to hospital, and at 4 I had my baby.
Wow.
So even the issues of labor I didn't have.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were discharged the following day.
Yeah.
So bringing him up the first few days was okay. But there's something I will say, which maybe we can talk another time.
Yes. We can always talk about it.
Yes, my son was a rainbow child. I had lost an firstborn.
Okay.
So he's my secondborn.
Okay.
So of course I had fears because my firstborn had passed on when she was 4 days old. So even having this child, for me, I held him very delicate. I was really, maybe I had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
I didn't know then,
Yes.
but I was very
Protective, afraid.
Very afraid.
Yes.
If he slept for long, I would keep on checking on him.
Okay.
Why is he not waking up? Because my other child had passed on when sleeping.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so I had those fears now on this other child.
Yes, yes.
However, I'll say everything was okay. My mom came in handy. She really supported me, and she was there helping me to tell me it's okay, let him sleep. You know, even bathing him, I was saying like he will sleep and just go. So I had, my mom had come over to help me on that. She's the one who would bathe him and all that. And then now going for clinics, I remember when we were going for, I think it was 14 weeks, his legs were not firm.
Yeah.
When you know,
You try to make him stand on his feet. Yeah.
And the nurse pointed out, there's something wrong with your child. And we were told to go for some tests, which we went and all was well, but he had delayed milestones.
Okay.
I was very persistent on taking him for his clinics. He would add weight, but he had delayed milestones from the word go.
Okay.
Neck support.
Neck
legs,
support was a problem. The legs.
sitting down. Actually, he had his neck support when he was 5 months.
Oh.
Yeah. And then sitting down, he did it when he was 10 months. So it was a series of, at that particular time, I was going to Aga Khan Hospital.
Yes.
They recommended occupational therapy and physiotherapy, which I would take him.
Yes.
And then when he was 1 year, again, he got sick. He had persistent fevers, and we were admitted in the same hospital. And so many tests were run.
Yeah.
We did MRIs. It was quite a journey, seeing your young child suffering all this.
Going
And
through all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all this time, he's not able to stand on his own. So at that particular time, my worry was, when will my child stand on his own?
Okay.
At that time, when we were going to the hospital, he was 1 year, 2 months. He was able to sit.
All right.
But
1 year,
not
2 months.
1 year,
Sitting.
2
Okay.
months, yes, but not standing.
All right.
So my worry, actually, I had never thought anything else should be an issue apart from the delayed milestones, which the doctors would tell me. Until now, it became too much. 1 year, 2 years, still not able to stand.
Oh my.
Approaching 3 years. And for me now, as any other parent, you start getting concerned.
Yeah.
And what normally happens is people tell you, it's okay, boys take time. But you're like, the other boys that you're seeing, the other boys that were born around the same time, the other boys who were born before.
So you are very careful to even consider, I know this boy, he's older or younger, but he's able to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So as a parent, I really got concerned, but I didn't know. Actually even didn't know where to seek for help. And now again, I think I sank into depression unknowingly because I'm like, what's wrong with my child? What is it that have I done? What is it have I not done?
Okay.
So even walking, he walked at 3 years, 4 months.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was a
Oh,
joy.
you see, it's so close, Yanni, to you that you even remember 3
Yes,
years,
4 months.
4 months.
Yes.
It's when he made his first step.
Yes, actually, I was not in the house. My
Yes.
nanny told me, but it's like he stepped and he was like, wait a minute, what is it? I can walk. So he started walking.
Just like that?
Just like that. Of course, we had really done a lot of therapies.
Yes.
I had a very supportive nanny who would hold his hands and walk around with him when holding his hands.
Yes.
We had studying aid. We had done all that. I had an occupational therapist.
Okay.
Both I used to go to the hospitals. I would go to one hospital, another one, because I'm thinking, this one, let me try another one. Maybe he will walk. So I had hoped, Gertrude, Kenyatta Hospital, Aga Khan,
You've gone to all of
Nairobi.
them.
Yes.
It must have been a very expensive affair.
It's very expensive. I thank God that we had an insurance card.
Yeah.
But it is quite expensive and draining.
Okay.
And very draining.
All right.
Yeah.
So all this time, when all this is happening to your child, what is going on with you as a person in your mind? How is it for you?
I would say you lose yourself. You lose yourself and you start a grieving process unknowingly, because I said I had gone through a grieving process. Now looking back, it's like I was grieving another time. Now you're grieving for a child you wished to have, and there's this one. So grieving process, we normally call it dabda, you know. You're in denial the first, and it's okay, he will be okay. You want to seem to be in a dream.
Okay.
Like I finally wake up, this thing is a dream, my son is okay. The other one is anger. You're angry at anyone, everyone, yourself, because you're like, what is it that happened? What is it that was I meant to do, I didn't do? Maybe I didn't take my supplement nicely. And then, you know, autism, I'll come to the diagnosis part. Autism, it's not something that people say it's caused by this. Even now, they say genetics, they say environment, but it's not clearly defined.
Nobody can place a finger.
Yes. Even as at now, it's not clearly defined what causes autism. So you get into that anger, and then now you start bargaining. You're bargaining with God. You're like, he'll be fine. You know, he'll be fine. And then after bargaining, there's now depression. It sets in.
Like, this is it.
This is it. Now it's the reality. You're like, what? You mean this thing? Okay, it hits you, and it hits you so hard. And if you don't have a support system, you can actually go under quite easily. You can go under quite easily. And then eventually, you get to acceptance. And getting to acceptance, it takes God's grace.
Okay.
And this grieving process, it's not a linear. You know, it's not like the way I have said, you're in denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. No. At times you can be in acceptance, then you go back to bargaining. You go back to denial, because there will be triggers along the way. That child that will come, maybe they were born the same time, and you're looking at them and you're like, okay, this is where my child would have been. Then you go back again and again. So it is not a linear process, but what I say is, eventually when you get to acceptance, the journey becomes easier.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So talk about the stigma now around, because in the world of somebody who has not dealt with an autistic child or grown up, we don't really, there is a bit of disconnect. We don't understand that world. It's always like it seems very far. Please, can you bring it closer?
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma, which for me now I say I don't blame. Initially, before my child was diagnosed with autism, I didn't know what it was. Maybe I would be among the majority who judge, who are not kind to people who are on the who are autistic. So let me just say about the diagnosis. When he was 3 years, 4 months, and he started walking, he now started walking. As if he would not stop, he would not settle. He didn't have concentration. He didn't have eye contact.
Wow.
Now that's when it hit me. This child has something else apart from the delayed milestone. And I went to Kise.
Yeah.
After I went to Kise, they gave me a letter. I went to Kenyatta University. I'm thinking of
Hospital.
university, Kenyatta Hospital. And the doctor that I met, he was a child psychologist, I think.
Yeah.
The first diagnosis she wrote was mental retardation. And that one hit me so hard.
Oh my goodness.
You know what mental retardation in a layman's language? We call it Mogoroki, or somebody who has gone crazy. So for me, that's what I took, and it was very hard on me.
Yeah.
And that time I'm all alone. I'm a single mom, as I said. I'm all alone. I'm trying to figure out myself. What is this? So after that, I did not stop. I went hopping from one hospital to another until one hospital. When I went back to Kisesuri, they also pointed out, did they tell you your child has ADHD? I had never had ADHD because he was very hyper.
Yeah.
And it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Okay.
They don't have attention. You cannot actually sit there and tell them something and they concentrate. So I was like, I was joking somewhere, I had PhD.
Wow.
Yes, those are the things I did. So I was like, what is PhD? Me, I only do PhD
ni ya kusoma.
Sasa inayo ni gani? Yeah, but eventually now I got to understand, and I looked for other hospitals, and I went to Aga Khan again. I got another, a very good child pediatrician who worked with me. She's called Susan Wamithi, and she told me, this is it, this is autism, and this is what it is, this is how it manifests itself, and all is not lost. She's a very nice doctor, I would say that, because she gave me hope. Apart from the diagnosis, she gave me hope.
Okay. So me, I'm here wondering, is there, so you want to tell me that most autistic people must have other conditions? Is it like that, Ama?
No. As I said, if you meet one autistic child or adult, you've met one. And just like any other, maybe you can say somebody is short and light-skinned, and somebody is short and dark-skinned.
Yeah.
You both are short.
Yes.
But there is the difference of
color.
Yeah.
All right.
So the same with our children. One can have two conditions. One can just have one. Like my son was diagnosed with 3 conditions. They said ADHD, autism, we call it ASD, autism spectrum disorder, and also hearing loss.
Okay.
He was told he has severe to profound hearing loss after we did all the tests. And now the combination of all that, it was quite overwhelming. And apparently, I would want to say it overwhelms the parent more than the child.
Okay.
The children are just, they are okay. That is them. That is how they are uniquely unique. But for you, because there is a way the society has set up how a child should grow, it becomes very hard. Okay. Because you're like, this, my child, no, I don't want my child like this. But that's how God has created them, and that is who they are.
What affects you is your understanding also of this is what I have been through myself. So there is a disconnect. You can already see this child, the way they are developing is not what I would expect.
Yes. There's a lot a parent goes through. Number one, you had talked about stigma. There's what the society expects a child.
Yes.
Like after 1 year, the child should have started some words. You know, they should, at least by 1 year, they should be standing or starting to walk. So there's those expectations. So when they are not in your child, there's a lot of stigma first from you. And that is why you find parents hiding their children, because they are feeling, my child does not measure to the standards of how a child can be. And then now it gets to the other issues, especially behavior. Behavior is what makes many parents hide their children, because their way of communication is different. Some they are verbal, some are non-verbal. And at times, they expect you to understand something.
Okay.
And you're not understanding. What do? You see them throwing things up and down, climbing up and down, hitting themselves, rolling on the floor. And what happens? If that happens publicly, what will happen?
Will think you don't train your child.
Especially, exactly. You will say, oh, that one is a
Spoiled
spoiled
brat.
brat. Exactly. That's what normally happens. So you're not understanding yourself as a parent. And then now you go to the society, even in churches.
Would you just talk about yourself and some of the stigmas you have gone through?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say I love church. I love God. I am a born-again Christian. And of course, I started going back to church. And I wanted to have a normal, your child goes to Sunday school and all that. So when I started going to church, my son could not settle. He was all over. He doesn't like anyone wearing anything on their head. So he could spot a woman wearing a turban or covering, and he would go pull.
Yes.
At times, the noise, I didn't know it was sensory issues. The noise in the music would be too much on him. He would be all over trying to pull whatever I'm wearing, whether it's a chain or earrings.
To be able to cope?
No, he's trying to communicate. This thing is too much.
Okay.
Remember, he does not have speech.
Yes.
So he's trying to communicate, and I'm not understanding.
All right.
His best way of communicating. So it became so hard for me, even going to church, because I'm like, you will see those tears. Zile za, mbona unatusumbua, you know? We are supposed to be listening to this sermon, and your child is all over. And then he loves cars. So at times he would go to the parking and touch many cars. And you know, some have alarms. So they would start, you know, that sound, and you would hear even an announcement. Please talk to your children. Not to be hitting cars in the car parking area. Okay. And you know your child is there. So it's a lot of stigma.
Yeah.
At times you would go to the supermarket, you buy yogurt, you put it in the cart, but he wants it now and now. And maybe he's big. So people are not understanding. How come your child is not behaved? Why do they want to talk to them? But how are you even talking to them? You're not even understanding yourself.
What is happening?
Yes,
oh my goodness.
yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stigma, but it comes from ignorance. Not many people are educated about these conditions. Autism, dyslexia, cerebral palsy, and
ADHD, they sound so, yeah.
Not many people are educated. And that is why I would say, even at primary school levels, high schools, let them be taught about somebody can be different. And being different, you're not less.
Okay.
So that when they come out, they will be knowing, oh yeah, this one I learned in school. There's something called autism. There's something called ADHD. There's something called dyslexia. There's so many conditions. So that the ignorance is quite high from the pastors, from the everywhere across the.
I noticed you wore a t-shirt. Please tell us what it means for you, even so that it will help us as the other people, the society, to understand autism, to understand these conditions, so that we will be kinder.
Yeah. So my t-shirt, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. That is the message on my t-shirt. The reason I like wearing this t-shirt is because kindness is a language that is not there. It's not embraced by many people. And there's a lot of harsh judgment without knowing what the wearer of the shoe is feeling. You go with the child, maybe they have tantrums, they have meltdowns, they are all over the place. People will judge you. People will not be kind to you. And they're judging a person who is already wounded. You're already overwhelmed. The journey is quite overwhelming. So when this one now again comes, it weighs you down. It weighs you down completely. So be kind. Kindness is a language that even the deaf understand.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. You said something also powerful about autistic people or children, that they are very sensitive to the kind of a personality that someone has. Please talk about that also.
Many people don't know that some of our children, as much as they may not be verbal, their instincts are very strong. God has a way of balancing things. And when you discriminate against them, when you show them that you don't belong here, they see it and they can tell. And that is why you will find a child going to embrace one person and leaving the other one out, because their instincts are very strong. And the minute, even children, our children should also be taught to embrace these other children. Just tell them, you look like this, but when you see another child looking like this, please embrace them.
All right.
Because even our children, if there's something that has helped my son to thrive, is acceptance and getting love.
Okay.
And I make it categorical. He is the king here.
Wow.
If you come here and you're minding your own business and you're not minding him, please, you're not welcome in my life.
Oh
if you want me to be in your circle, he also has to be in your circle. And if you want me to come to your event, I will tag him along.
Yeah, so expect
Yes.
whatever, I'll come with him.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to accept that our children, they thrive in love. Where there is love, they will thrive.
Okay.
But the minute you show them discrimination, the minute you show them they do not belong, the minute you show them they are lesser of a person, they will detest you completely. So acceptance is something that accept our children just the way they are. Yes.
All right. You also wanted to talk about, I think there's someone watching us there that has or just discovered their child is autistic or is different. Please talk about the process. What do you do from there? Because I know most people are thrown into a jar, into a place of confusion anytime they know their children are different. Please talk to them and tell them what they can do.
Thank you so much. I think one thing I want to touch on is when a parent, your child has just been diagnosed with autism, dyslexia, or any other condition, what happens next? Mostly, as I had said, you go through the grieving process of the child you ought to have had. And now you're seeing this other child, and it is very hard on you, and you can start now getting into depression because you're like, I didn't want this kind of a child. There's some points that I want to point out of what a parent should do. Number one, educate yourself. Educate yourself. Just learn about this condition. What is this? Like, for me, I had to go to Anchor, Google. I had to look for forums whereby I want to learn, what is autism? What, is it a curse? Is it something, is it a disease? Because we find people asking, mtoto alipona, and you're like, no, my son has not been sick. Why are you asking whether my mtoto amepona, you know? So educate yourself as a parent. Get as much information as you can. Number two, build a support system. Because for me, I really want to thank Differently Talented Society of Kenya, DTSK. I got a very good support system. People who worked with me, people would tell me, no, your child needs speech therapy. You know, so and so does speech therapy. And they will help your child. You want to go for occupational therapy? Go to this hospital. There's this person who can come to your house and they will help you. When you have a support system, and not a pity party, because you know there are those people who get to support systems and they start weighing themselves. Guys, sasa ni nini tulifanya na watoto wetu? Get a support system of people who will give you hope. People who will hold your hand and tell you it is okay.
All right.
It is not the end. This child is not lesser than any other child because they have a condition. They are just fearfully and wonderfully made and unique in their own way. The other thing I would say is advocate for your child.
All right.
You are the biggest advocate. The minute yourself you're showing your child discrimination that you're preparing, you go with your other children and you leave them, you have already communicated they are lesser. Be your your child's number one advocate. Ukienda kanisa unaona discrimination, be the first one to say, hey, my child is like this, and you have to accept them. They are saying a poem or they are reciting a memory verse and they don't want your child to be there because they will mislead the others or they will not. No, let them be there. Like on Sunday, my child, I make sure he's in the Sunday school.
Yeah.
So they were being asked some questions. I can't actually remember. But him, when it was pointed to him, just said, my name is Jensen Kariuki, I'm 11 years, grade 5, I'm living in Kitengela, and that is it. It does not matter, but he had that opportunity.
Wow.
Be your child's advocate.
Okay.
Let them be involved. If it is in a school setup,
Yeah.
tell them he may not know how to play football, but let him be involved.
Play, all right.
Yes. If it is any other setup, it's a wedding, you're going as a family, you know he will be all over, please let him be involved. If you don't advocate for your child, who else will?
Nobody else.
Nobody else.
Even in a wedding setup, if they have
Yes.
those young boys that wanasimamia harusi, akue hapo.
Akue hapo.
Okay.
Yes, the minute they feel they belong, they're not lesser. I'm telling you, our children, they love
thrive.
They
Oh
thrive.
my God.
Yes.
What else?
The other thing is focus on communication. What normally happens, I was talking to another parent and she was telling me, how do I talk to my child and they don't talk? They may not be verbal, but they hear everything. I've seen even there are Huduma centers that are offering mental help for free. Yeah, look for resources.
Okay.
First of all, take care of yourself as a parent, as a father, as a mother, so that you're able to take care of your child.
This child.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't-
So do not stop on your chasing on your goals. Continue living your life the
Yes.
best way that you can.
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing, there are many, maybe we will focus on another time. Maintain a positive attitude and seek help from professionals. It is an expensive affair. I remember when we would go for even a speech therapy, 45-minute session, I used to go to Gertrude's, I would go to Kenyatta. I kept on hopping. And I want to thank people who came along and really helped me on the journey. Collaborate with professionals. Try to know what is happening. Don't take your child and leave them there and you're just outside on your phone or doing other things. No, no, no.
Be
Ask
involved.
them those
Okay.
deep questions. What is this? Why is it that when I'm cutting his nails, he's screaming? Why is it that I can't take him to the barber comfortably? Why does he shout? What is? Try to get as much information as possible and work with them. For me, even any school I've taken him,
Yeah.
the first thing I go to the teacher, I tell them, we are walking this journey with you. Tell me, where is it that we can help? Tell me, where is he lagging behind? Tell me, what is it that we can collaborate to help? And I've said, maintain a positive attitude because the minute you start weighing yourself,
Yeah.
feeling pity on yourself, feeling like I am lesser of a parent
Yeah.
because I have a special needs child, the journey becomes tough. But the minute you're positive,
Yeah.
this child, you just but a steward.
Yeah.
They were created by God.
Yes,
They were
they-
fearfully before they were formed in the mother's womb.
Hallelujah. The
God
Lord
knew
knew them.
Yes.
Yes.
So why are you pitying yourself? The child belongs to God.
It's just that you are special to have been given them
Exactly.
to take care of them.
Exactly.
There's something you said about communication, that anytime a child with autism, anytime they behave in a certain way, there is a trigger. Please talk about that and how now to find out what to do about the same.
Yeah, one of the issues with autistic people is behavior. They may have now those repetitive behavior. They may have those self-harming behavior. You find some are stimming, some are jumping up and down. There is always a trigger. We normally call it ABC of behavior.
Okay.
The A is antecedent. What is it that had happened
Earlier, before.
before the behavior
Yes.
portrayed itself?
Yes.
The second is behavior and the consequence. So many times we deal with the behavior. We want to correct the behavior. We want to say, why is my child jumping up and down? You pinch the child, you hit the child, you lock them in somewhere. We normally call it a dark corner, or you seclude them, you know. But you have dealt with the behavior.
Yes.
Until you get to the roots, you cannot deal with the plant and the service. You can cut but the roots are still there.
Yeah.
So this thing will still
Not
come
so
up
deep,
again.
yes.
So as a parent, you really need to understand your child and know when this happens, this had happened earlier.
Okay.
Maybe somebody had talked to them badly, somebody had denied them something, maybe it was very hot. With time, you understand your child, and you alone can.
Okay.
So when you eliminate this antecedent, you will be able to deal with the behavior.
Okay.
And the other thing, the consequences are at times tough. We have seen kids who bite themselves. We have seen kids who hit themselves and they get hurt.
Okay.
We have seen kids who break TV screens or phones because it is the behavior, but something had triggered them.
Okay.
And our children, they don't have something we call theory of mind. At times, they just act something. You will think of, if I do this, this will happen. But to them, their brain is quite overwhelmed. And there's something I had shared about how our brains work. I'm able to process one thing at a time. I can see something moving there. I can see there's a camera. I can see there's a bottle
sounds.
Water. Yes, I can hear change of sound. And I'm able to bring them and just know I'm talking to Maggie. Let me continue talking to Maggie.
Yes.
Most of our children, they're not able to do that. What happens is the brain gets all this information. It's not able to process. It wants to concentrate on each and everything, and then it becomes too overwhelmed. That is why we will see them with behaviors. They start jumping up and down. They start closing their ears because it is too much.
They're trying to just cope.
They're just trying to cope.
Okay.
And it is too hard on them.
All right.
And until you understand that, you will start saying, "Watcha, stop. Why are you
become
talking?"
as agitated.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do in those kinds of...
When you understand, you're supposed to lovingly hold them and tell them, "I understand." At times they are verbal, at times they are not. So when I hold my child and I'm like, "It's okay, I don't know what is happening, but whatever is happening, just know your mommy is here and it shall be okay."
Okay.
Give them that comfort.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. When you give them that comfort, you even see the behaviors going
Calm
down.
So there's a lot of love for them. You have to always be very loving towards them.
Yes. You have to be very loving. At times they want something. They don't know how to say it. So they will cause some chaos here and there. But the minute you walk with time, you understand your child.
Okay.
You know when they're doing this, maybe they're thirsty,
All
maybe
right.
it is very hot.
Okay.
Yeah, you're able to understand and deal with the antecedent.
Okay.
And once you deal with the antecedent, you eliminate the behavior. Yes.
So I'm here wondering then, how does a parent bringing up an autistic child discipline them? Do you need to do that?
Yeah, discipline should be there.
How now do you go around that?
Number one, a child is a child. Like for me, I say just like the way I would deal with any other child, it's the same way I deal with them. Number one, you have to understand when there is misbehavior and when there is those tantrums and being overwhelmed by sensory issues.
Okay.
And with the time I said, when you educate yourself, you will know. Apa una tabia baya. That one you will deal with it, even with Kamwiko, ne African mother.
Yeah.
But when there is tantrums, when there are those sensory issues, if you beat them, you agitate them the more. Okay. So you discipline them like...
So they know how to separate, even them? They can understand this is, I did this on purpose, so when I'm disciplined, I deserved it. Can they understand?
They do.
Okay.
They are brighter than we think.
Yeah.
They do. But as a parent now, you also need to be very keen to know when it is misbehavior and when there are sensory issues. They are getting overwhelmed or they are feeling misunderstood. But above all, what I normally say, talking. At times, parents think, "Oh, my child cannot hear, they don't talk." So even if I talk, it's like they are not understanding. You underestimate them.
Okay.
There are some things my son tells me. My son talked when he was 5 years. His first words, 5 years, 8 months. But there are some things he tells me, and those are things that had happened when he was 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, "You mean you could see all these and he's able to tell. Like the other day he was telling me, we went to Dr. Wanza in Kahawa West. She has an orange chair. She's a dentist.
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
All those things were somewhere in his brain. So don't underestimate your child. Keep talking to them. Keep telling them, just like the way I would talk to any other child and tell them, this is bad, don't do this. It makes mommy angry. It is not good. If you're a Christian, you tell them this one. Even Jesus is not happy. You should do this. You should obey your parents. Allow me to say this.
Yes.
I keep saying about obeying your parents and obeying teachers. And another day I was telling, there's some mosquitoes at home. So I was telling my son, these mosquitoes are making a lot of noise. And he was like, they are not obeying their parents. Because I tell them you should obey your parents and not make noise. So he was like, they are not obeying their parents. So I was happy. I was like, oh yeah.
So you understand.
You still understand. Yes.
Oh Lord, I think this is amazing. So with Jensen, where are we at now?
We are not where we were. Every phase has its own challenges. We are not where we were in terms of he's not understanding me. He cannot obey instructions. Currently, he's in grade 5 in a regular school where he got a lot of love. TOC school. Thank you so much. He joined, before we joined there, we had tarmac. And you go to some schools and they say, hatuchukuangi kama hawa. We don't take
my
such.
goodness.
Yeah, and you feel the rejection. And the rejection is real.
Okay.
Thank you, Mama Kevin. We tarmacked for a school with you. We would hop from one school to another. He would fit. And I was saying, me, I just want him to be in a regular school because I don't have a special world. I know there are some kids who cannot fit in a regular setup because of their extreme issues. However, I wish each and every school, whether private or public, had a special unit.
Okay.
Integration. Let them be integrated.
Just because they live in our world, let them be in the world.
We don't have a special church that special needs go. We don't have a special country. So we are living with them. I wish that one can be integrated. So that's where we are. We are doing well. I'm grateful to God. Each phase has its own challenges. As I said, you celebrate milestones. At times when I look at him, of course, when I get children of his age, the kind of conversation I will have with them is different from him. His level of understanding may not be at their level. There are other challenges that I keep asking. For me, I keep asking. Like currently we are dealing with, he's talking to himself too much. At times when he's in the bathroom, you're like, is it a bathroom or a boardroom? Because you're feeling there's a secretary, there's a chairperson there. He will talk, he will say so many things. He has a lot of self-talk. Kumbe, it is a challenge, and which I thought maybe I'm also autistic because I have self-talk as well. So there, each and every phase has its own challenges. He's a preteen. His body is changing. How do you tell him in a way that he will understand? So that's where we are. Grateful to God for each and every milestone.
So these kids also, there is something I believe they are very good at. So what is Jensen very good at? It amazes you.
Discovering their talents is also a tall order. Because one time they are obsessed with something and you're like, yeah, this is it. He loves computers. He loves this. Then all of a sudden it goes. People mistake autistic kids being artistic. You know, somebody was telling me, he will be a very good artistic, I know, I believe, and I have a lot of faith that he will amaze people. People will look at him. Is this a boy who would not even talk nicely in church, who would not even construct a sentence? Here he is. So
when an autistic person grows up, can they now, like you're saying, chase careers? Do they ever become what you would expect? Do they have a career? Tell me that world again.
An autistic child becomes an autistic adult. And as I said, it's not a sickness. However, with a lot of therapies, with a lot of helping them to just navigate through life, they achieve whatever they wanted to become. And they can thrive in any setup. We have seen like DTSK, I will still mention
yes.
Differently Talented Society of Kenya. We had amazing kids being taken to college to do catering, to do welding, to do automobile engineering, and they're thriving.
All right.
So when you don't limit your child and you keep on focusing, what is it that they want? I'm very curious of what my son will become, but I want to support him because I keep telling him, whatever you will become, mommy will always be here to support you. You got my back. And I like assuring him that, whether he understands or not at the moment, but I want to pick it from there. And whether he will run a business, he may not be in a formal employment, but whichever the case, just assure them of your support.
So they can, do they get married? Do they have kids?
Yes.
Wow.
They are not lesser being because they are autistic. They are just like any other person.
Okay,
of course,
very
with
good
myriad
news.
of challenges of how to navigate life, but they are not lesser.
Okay.
Like my son told me one time he has a girlfriend, and I was like, yeah, we are growing well, you know. They develop like any other person. Yes.
Okay. So as we finish, please tell us, where is God for you in all this? Where does he come in?
Initially, I was very angry at God. I was wondering, where were you? Why did all this happen? Am I lesser, your child? I was quite angry and I asked so many questions. But the minute I realized God does not answer questions, he answers prayers.
Oh.
My perspective changed.
Okay.
I started praying, and right now I would say God has been my greatest strength.
Okay.
That is why I'm able to sit comfortably, talk about it. Initially, I would cry a river because my heart had not healed.
Yeah.
And if you don't address what is ailing you, it will undress you. Eventually, you will just see you cannot cope. You will be crying everywhere. So for me, my God has been my greatest strength. I feel like I can run to him, you know.
Okay.
He's that cornerstone. He's our refuge and strength. And that is who he is. Yes.
Hallelujah. I think that is a very good place to end our conversation, that you can run to him when you don't have all the answers. When you have the very many questions, you can run to him in prayer, and you're sure he will be there. Have you prayed and you saw him do something to Johnson?
Yes, many times. There are times I would get so overwhelmed, like when he was doing the hearing test. I have like 7. I wish I came with him. 7 hearing tests. I would hope. I'm still told he has severe hearing loss. Then I go to the other one. He has middle hearing loss. He can hear at 60. I know those things. 60 decibels. I know. I have known those things. And that time, because of his sensory issues, he wears hearing aids. He just throws them out because there's a lot of sensory issues. So at one time, I just prayed to God. I told God, please, this is too heavy. Let him just hear normally. Okay. I've not gone for a hearing test as at now. But he has survived like 2 years without hearing aids. I actually don't know where they are at the moment. I had like 2. One I gave out to another parent in Kisumu. But at the moment, he goes without hearing aids. He is able to write what the teacher is saying akiwa hapo mbele. So I thank God. I've seen God many times. Many times. Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I think these kinds of conversation are needed. Yes. Because the advocacy is going to help us understand the society, understand that world, and also understand it can happen to anyone. Yes. And in the process, we are able to really live with kindness, like you have told us, that next time I see a child behave in a certain way, we will be careful not to run to judge the parent or the child. Exactly. We really need to have these conversations as often as can be, and we want to really thank you for allowing to come to Chronicles La Familia. We are very grateful. May the Lord bless you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor also to be here. Okay. Just to encourage somebody to be positive and to tell them all is not lost because you have a special needs child. Yeah. Life continues. God has just given you that child. You're just but a steward.
All right.
And that's one thing I keep reminding God. This is your child.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Now on to our fun segment where we have our guests singing the very first song they learned and the song they have sung in their lowest or hardest moment, or they are singing right now. So over to you. Which was the first song that you ever learned?
I grew up in Nyeri.
Yes.
And we were taught English in Kikuyu. And that way we were able to learn. So I'll sing that song that we were taught.
All right. Go right ahead.
Wow. Ogenda guthoma primary school wambĩrĩrie natharĩ nĩguo ũhĩge teacher nĩ mwarimũ chair nĩ gĩtĩ window nĩ dirisha arm nĩ guoko mwarimũ witũ teacher nĩwe kaũru bad nĩ kwĩra ciana children ithiĩ mũgũnda garden itarĩ na rũtha permission nĩ ngũthiĩ go na ndigũcoka back.
Good. Wewe hujasema tisha. Because I know hiyo shida ya matamshi tulikuwa tunafunzwa unasema tisha, lakini wewe uko sawa. Okay.
Yes.
Na hiyo ingine saa hii yenye unaimba saa hii?
The song I'm singing is by Maverick and Elevation Worship. All my life I've been carried by grace. Even the journey of autism,
yes,
it is just by grace. Wow.
Let's
Unipatie
hear
key. All my life I've been carried by grace. Don't ask me how, cause I can't explain. It does but a miracle I'm here. I've got some blessings that I don't deserve. I've got some scars, but that's how you learn. It's nothing short of miracle I'm here. I can't explain it cause it doesn't add up. I know it comes from above. I've got miracles on miracles. A million little miracles. Miracles on miracles. Million little miracles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count them all.
Wow, that's a very good song.
Yes.
Yani, we look at our lives, we have million little miracles
yes,
of what God has done for us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Please give your final remarks as we end the show.
Thank you so much. What I'll say is, for a parent whose child has just been diagnosed with a condition, whether it is autism, whether it is cerebral palsy, whether it's dyslexia or any other condition, it is not the end of the world. And your child is not lesser of a child because they have a condition. Number one, before God created that child, he had already a purpose for them. So don't look them in a lesser way, and just know that you're just but a steward and God has a plan and a purpose. The other thing, for the society, just be kind. Autism, we call it an invisible disability. By looking at a child, you're not able to tell they have this disability or this disorder. So be kind. When you see somebody behaving in a certain way, please don't be quick to judge. Put yourself in their shoes and be kind. And above all, show love and acceptance. And our children will definitely thrive with a lot of love and acceptance. Thank you so much.